The air in the national park was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and adventure as my friend Jake and I set up camp. Nestled between towering trees, our small tent stood as a humble testament to our desire to escape the hustle of city life and embrace the untamed beauty of nature. Little did we know that our peaceful getaway would soon transform into a harrowing tale of survival. Jake and I decided to explore the trails surrounding our campsite. Armed with flashlights and a sense of excitement, we ventured into the heart of the wilderness, guided only by the dim glow of the moon and the rustle of leaves beneath our boots. The trail twisted and turned through the dense foliage, each step leading us deeper into the heart of the park. We reveled in the symphony of nocturnal sounds, the chirping crickets, the distant hoots of owls, and the gentle murmur of a nearby stream. Nature, it seemed, was putting on a serene performance just for us. However, as we rounded a bend in the trail, the tranquility of the night shattered. A pair of gleaming eyes, reflecting the moonlight like twin lanterns, fixed upon us from the shadows. My heart quickened as I trained my flashlight on the source, revealing the majestic form of a cougar. The magnificent creature stood poised on the trail, its muscles rippling beneath a coat of tawny fur. Jake and I exchanged nervous glances, silently agreeing that we should retreat slowly. We took measured steps backward, avoiding any sudden movements that might provoke the wild feline. To our dismay, the cougar mirrored our retreat, its gaze never wavering. Panic set in as we quickened our pace, the once tranquil night now echoing with the palpable tension of a predator-prey standoff. It became painfully clear that the cougar saw us as intruders in its territory, and its predatory instincts had been awakened. As the distance between us and the cougar dwindled, fear gripped my chest like a vice. I fumbled for the camping knife tucked into my belt, its cold metal providing a modicum of reassurance. The situation had escalated beyond a mere encounter, it was now a fight for survival in the heart of the wilderness. The cougar lunged, a blur of feline agility. Instinct kicked in, and I swung the knife in a desperate attempt to fend off the attack. The blade met resistance as the cougar's powerful claws raked across my arm. Pain shot through me, but adrenaline dulled the immediate impact as I continued to grapple with the wild beast. Desperation fueled my actions. With a surge of strength born from sheer survival instinct, I managed to force the blade into the cougar's open maw. The metallic taste of blood mingled with the scent of pine as the cougar recoiled, its eyes wide with a mix of surprise and pain. For a moment, the forest seemed to hold its breath, suspended in the eerie stillness that followed our struggle. The cougar, shaken but not defeated, retreated into the shadows, disappearing like a phantom into the night. The gravity of the situation hit me as I clutched my injured arm, blood seeping between my fingers. It was then that the distant crunch of footsteps approached. A park ranger emerged from the darkness, their authoritative presence a beacon of hope. They swiftly assessed the situation, radioing for assistance as they tended to my wounds. Jake, shaken but unharmed, stood by, his wide-eyed expression mirroring the disbelief of our close encounter with the wild. The ranger's prompt intervention undoubtedly saved us from a more dire fate. They escorted us back to our campsite, providing first aid and assuring us that help was on the way. As the adrenaline began to wane, the searing pain in my arm served as a stark reminder of the thin line between adventure and peril in the unforgiving wilderness. In the aftermath, as I lay in the ranger station awaiting further medical attention, reflections on the ordeal flooded my mind. The beauty of nature, once a tranquil escape, now bore the scars of a life-or-death struggle. I couldn't help but marvel at the tenacity of the wild, its unpredictability a stark reminder that, even in our carefully planned excursions, we are but guests in a realm where survival is the ultimate law. The physical wounds would heal with time, but the emotional scars ran deeper. The national park, once a symbol of pristine serenity, now echoed with the haunting memory of a predator's pursuit. I vowed to carry the lessons learned from that night into every future adventure, staying alert, respecting the wild, and being prepared for the unexpected. Our tale of survival serves as a testament to the untamed power of nature and the importance of humility in its presence. In the heart of the national park, where the beauty of the wild conceals its unforgiving reality, our story unfolds as a cautionary reminder to those who seek solace in the embrace of the great outdoors. It was 5 years ago, a memory etched in the fabric of our family history, that we embarked on our annual camping trip to the rugged landscapes of northern Georgia. Our anticipation bubbled with excitement as we loaded up the car with tents, sleeping bags, and provisions for what promised to be another unforgettable adventure. Little did we know that this trip would transcend the realm of joyous escapades and plunge us into the heart-pounding realm of survival. Our camping ensemble included myself, my wife, our 2 spirited girls, and our ever-faithful canine companion, Max. As we set up camp amidst the towering pines and the crisp mountain air, we reveled in the simplicity of nature and the warmth of family bonds. Days melted into nights, filled with laughter around the crackling campfire, the tantalizing aroma of marshmallows roasting, and the soothing sounds of the wilderness. The turning point of our idyllic journey arrived on the last night, a night that would forever be etched in our minds. The moon cast a silvery glow on the landscape as we gathered around the campfire, exchanging stories and relishing the camaraderie that only a family trip could foster. Max lay by our side, his tail wagging in contentment, sensing the joy that emanated from our tight-knit circle. As the night aged, our laughter echoed through the woods, and the flames danced with the rhythm of our shared joy. Unbeknownst to us, however, the remnants of our evening feast lay scattered near the campsite, leftover trash that would soon beckon uninvited guests to our haven. Suddenly, the air grew tense, and a rustle in the nearby bushes seized our attention. We exchanged wary glances as the darkness seemed to press in on us, tightening its grip on the once festive atmosphere. The glow of the campfire flickered ominously, casting shadows that morphed into lurking shapes. It took only a heartbeat for realization to dawn upon us: bears. The very creatures that had once been distant inhabitants of our wilderness dreams were now dangerously close, drawn by the alluring scent of our negligence. Panic clutched at our hearts, and the once celebratory night descended into chaos. In a frantic whirlwind of movement, we scrambled to gather our belongings, extinguishing the fire in a desperate attempt to erase the beacon that had unwittingly guided these formidable intruders. Max, sensing the impending threat, barked wildly, adding to the cacophony of fear that enveloped our camp. The bears, massive shadows in the moonlit darkness, closed in on us. Adrenaline surged through our veins as we faced the gut-wrenching reality of a predator-prey dynamic. A chilling symphony of growls and the snapping of twigs echoed through the night, underscoring the primal dance between man and beast. With each step, the bears drew nearer, their hulking forms casting an intimidating silhouette against the silent wilderness. We moved as one, a family bound by the primal instinct to survive. Frantically, we sought refuge in the trees, our hearts pounding in synchrony with the rhythmic approach of the predators below. As we clung to the branches, our eyes wide with fear, the bears prowled beneath us, their keen senses detecting the vestiges of our earlier revelry. The night air hung heavy with uncertainty as we held our breath, praying that the shadows would pass without discovering our precarious sanctuary. Minutes stretched into an agonizing eternity, and just as it seemed the bears would unveil our treetop haven, a serendipitous twist of fate intervened. Another scent, perhaps more alluring than our fleeting presence, diverted the bears' attention, drawing them away into the inky depths of the forest. Relief washed over us, but the harrowing encounter had left an indelible mark on our collective psyche. Silently, we descended from our arboreal refuge, the gravity of our close call settling upon us like a heavy cloak. Max, loyal and vigilant, led the way as we retraced our steps through the now silent woods, haunted by the echoes of our near collision with the wild. Dawn broke, casting a soft glow on the landscape that had witnessed the unfolding drama of our survival. As we emerged from the woods, a collective sigh escaped our lips, a symphony of gratitude for the fragility of life and the lessons etched in the tapestry of that fateful night. The experience forever altered our perception of the great outdoors, transforming our annual camping trip from a carefree tradition into a solemn pact with nature. The untouched beauty of northern Georgia became a backdrop to a story of resilience, highlighting the importance of responsible camping practices and the unforeseen dangers that lurk in the shadows of even the most serene landscapes. This happened few years back. My friends and I, all aged between 18 and 20, embarked on a week-long camping retreat, seeking respite from the routines of our daily lives. The early days were filled with the warmth of laughter and the crackling of the campfire, but a chance encounter with a mysterious old man cast an unexpected shadow over our adventure. The old man, with a face etched by the passage of time, materialized like a specter from the shadows. His cryptic words lingered in the air, and his disappearance left us with an unsettling sense of foreboding. In the days that followed, we stumbled upon peculiar items in our possession, ancient coins, intricately carved talismans, and faded photographs that seemed to carry whispers of stories long forgotten. One night, the tranquility of the forest was shattered by distressing screams that echoed through the woods. Driven by fear and a sense of duty, we traced the haunting sounds to a local legend, a girl who had vanished without a trace. As we delved into the past, the mystery deepened, revealing that the old man was not just a passerby but a guardian of secrets woven into the very fabric of the forest. The mysterious items, relics of bygone tales, became conduits connecting us to an ethereal realm. Guided by the old man, now a spectral presence, we found ourselves bridging the gap between the living and the departed. The once serene woods transformed into a realm where the boundaries of reality blurred with the mystical. As we unraveled the girl's story, the old man's duty unfolded as a custodian of cosmic equilibrium. The disappearance was not just a tragic event, it was a consequence of an age-old imbalance, disrupting the delicate harmony between the corporeal and the supernatural. Nights became a symphony of spectral whispers and flickering shadows. Our quest for answers forged an indelible connection with the unseen, each step resonating through the corridors of the mystical woods. Yet, with every revelation, new questions emerged, weaving a complex web of enigmas. On the final night, as we gathered around the dwindling embers of the campfire, the old man's spectral figure appeared. Gratitude echoed in his voice as he commended our role in restoring the disrupted balance. With a spectral farewell, he vanished into the dawn, leaving us forever changed. Emerging from the woods, the city welcomed us with its familiar hustle. However, the haunting whispers of the forest lingered in our minds. The mysterious items, returned to their resting place, left us with a sense of wonder and an awareness of the delicate interplay between the known and the unknown. Haunted by the ethereal odyssey, we returned to our ordinary lives, forever bound by the shared knowledge of the mystical tapestry woven in the heart of the woods. The camping trip, initially an escape, had become a chapter blurring the lines between the tangible and the intangible, leaving us with unanswered questions that resonated in the winds of the ancient forest. Growing up in the vast and majestic landscapes of the Rocky Mountains, camping was not just a hobby for me, it was a way of life. I would proudly proclaim to anyone who would listen that my favorite pastime involved driving deep into the heart of the mountains, far away from civilization, and simply immersing myself in the tranquil embrace of nature. However, a camping trip 2 years ago in a location far removed from my usual Rocky Mountain haven left me shaken. It started when my husband, our daughter, and I relocated about 5 years ago. Despite the change in scenery, we were determined to continue our tradition of summer camping escapades. One particular month, we stumbled upon what seemed like the perfect camping spot. The online reviews and website for the site were enticing, and with the optimism that comes with exploring new places, we eagerly packed our camping gear and set off. The first night at the campground was uneventful yet enjoyable, shared with a friend and his daughter. However, the atmosphere shifted the next morning as most campers cleared out by 11 a.m., leaving us almost alone in the vast expanse. A peculiar sense of unease settled in, making us feel like unwelcome intruders in an abandoned domain. Even my husband, a Marine with a stoic demeanor, admitted to feeling a strange discomfort being there. Attempting to shake off the unsettling vibes, we decided to leave the campground for a few hours, grabbing lunch in town. The feeling dissipated as we basked in the sun, sharing laughter and good times. Yet, as we reluctantly returned to the campground, the eerie sensation returned, now more intense than before. It was a feeling of being watched, of being stalked, even in the broad daylight of an almost deserted campground. Against my instincts, we decided to stay for the night, mainly for the sake of our young daughter. However, as darkness descended, an inexplicable darkness that seemed different from any previous camping experience, the feeling of impending doom grew stronger. Putting on a brave face for my daughter, we settled into the tent for bedtime. Little did I know that the night would take an unnerving turn. In the midst of the stillness and the peculiar darkness, my husband whispered urgently, "We need to leave, right now. Something bad is going to happen if we don't." His usually level-headed and logical demeanor was replaced by an instinctual fear that I could not ignore. Panic surged through me, but we quickly gathered our belongings in silence, mindful not to attract any attention. The quiet night was shattered by the unmistakable sounds of large branches snapping in the distant woods. Panic set in, and we frantically packed up the car, the cracking of trees growing ever closer. The feeling of being watched transformed into a sense of imminent danger. We loaded our daughter into the car and sped away, leaving behind the campground and its unseen threat. 2 years later, the memories of that night still haunt me. We haven't touched our camping gear since, and the mere thought of venturing into the wilderness sends shivers down my spine. The unspoken horror we experienced, based solely on instinct and unseen forces, serves as a constant reminder that even in the midst of nature's beauty, there can be something far more sinister lurking in the shadows. Several years ago, during my 6th grade year, I embarked on a camping trip with a group of friends that turned into an unsettling and eerie experience. My friend Jenna, she suggested that we explore a nearby campsite deep within the woods. With a dog joining us for protection, we set out from Jenna's secluded cabin. The aged wooden structure, complete with creaky floorboards and dimly lit rooms, exuded a mysterious atmosphere. The surrounding forest, with towering trees and a lack of visible paths, added to the overall eeriness. Around 7 p.m., as dusk settled in, we decided to head towards the campsite. Our journey took us through a dense forest, with the only illumination coming from the fading sunlight filtering through the thick canopy above. We couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. Upon reaching the campsite, a flickering fire pit and worn-out tents greeted us. The unsettling ambience of the place was palpable. Jenna, always the adventurous one, suggested we set up our own camp and spend the night. Despite a sense of unease, we agreed, hoping the warmth of the fire would dispel our growing anxiety. As the night progressed, strange sounds echoed through the woods. Leaves rustled in the wind, but there was an underlying murmur, almost like a distant conversation. Shadow, typically calm, grew agitated, his ears perked up as if he sensed something amiss. Suddenly, a shadow darted between the trees, causing a collective gasp from our group. Jenna's excitement turned into apprehension, and we collectively decided to abandon our campsite and return to the cabin. The forest seemed to close in on us as we retraced our steps. The journey back was accompanied by unsettling footsteps and peculiar, bird-like hissing sounds that seemed to echo around us. My nerves were on edge, and the forest felt alive with unseen eyes observing our every move. It was during this unnerving retreat that Shadow began to growl, the fur on his back standing on end. As we quickened our pace, a mysterious figure emerged from the shadows. The silhouette of a person, or something resembling one, followed us from a distance, disappearing and reappearing between the trees. Terrifyingly, a voice pierced through the darkness, speaking my name. It was a guttural and unearthly utterance that sent shivers down my spine. Panic set in, and we sprinted back to the cabin without daring to look back. We never spoke about that eerie camping trip again. The memory of the shadowy figure and the mysterious voice lingered, casting a long shadow over subsequent camping adventures. To this day, the mere rustle of leaves or a distant murmur in the night brings back the unsettling feeling of being watched by an otherworldly presence in the heart of deep woods.